You can feel it, can't you? The fear creeping up your spine. Out here in the wild, it's not just nature you're up against, it's you. Your mind, your body, they can turn on you faster than you'd believe. Today, we're talking about the 7 enemies you need to watch out for when you are in a survival situation. This isn't just about knowledge, it's about survival. If you're going to make it out alive, you need to understand the threats you can't see, can't touch, but can absolutely feel. So let's not waste time. Let's face the first enemy head on. Fear. It's the one thing you can't outrun. Fear doesn't just live in your mind, it takes over your entire body. It'll stop you from thinking clearly. It's like a parasite that sinks its claws into you and doesn't let go until you make a mistake. Caution is, of course, better than recklessness. Therefore, it doesn't harm you to always keep your surroundings in view to protect yourself from potential threats. However, if fear of danger paralyzes you and prevents you from achieving important daily goals, you are indeed an easy target for aggressors of any kind. Instead of trying to get rid of fear, you should start accepting it for what it is: an early warning system and, in case of emergency, a motivator. Use feelings of fear by learning how to sharpen your senses through them while remaining functional. Don't fight against them, as you cannot win that battle. But what I can recommend is learning how to handle panic, as it's extremely dangerous in emergencies. 2. Pain and injury. Think you can handle a little pain? Deep in the wilderness, pain doesn't just hurt, it steals your focus. A twisted ankle, a deep cut, and suddenly every step is torture. Pain does something to the mind, it wears you down. If you experience pain during a survival situation, quickly identify the source of the pain. If you find a wound, treat it immediately if possible. If not, you must decide whether to persevere or take a break until you're ready to continue. Ideally, you would avoid experiencing pain beforehand by not risking injury or being reckless with your body. Unfortunately, injuries and pain cannot always be avoided, so you must know how to deal with them in case of an emergency. Maintain fitness and strength in preparation. Learn your body and its limits so that even in a survival situation, you know what your body is capable of and what you should avoid. 3. Dehydration. Dehydration. This one's sneaky. You might think hunger is your biggest enemy in the wild, but let me tell you, lack of water will drop you faster than anything else. In fact, after just a few days without water, your body starts to shut down. In a survival situation, finding water is your number one priority. Forget food for a moment, forget everything else. No water, you're done. Start looking for sources immediately: streams, rivers, dew on plants, condensation traps, whatever you can manage. And here's a tip: never wait until you're thirsty to drink. By then, you're already in trouble. Dehydration messes with your mind too. It can cause confusion, dizziness, and make you take unnecessary risks. Don't let it sneak up on you. If your water supplies are running low, you should quickly find a way to refill them. It's best to pack a water filter and water purification tablets in your equipment so you can obtain water from rivers, lakes, and other sources whose purity you don't know. 4. Hunger. Hunger's deceptive. It doesn't kill you quickly. No, it's slow. It eats away at your energy, at your resolve. It makes you weak, but worse, it makes you desperate. Days without food and you'll start to consider eating things you wouldn't even look at back home. Insects, plants, things you're not even sure are safe. That's how hunger tricks you, by making you careless. And out here, carelessness is the real killer. But listen to me, hunger isn't your first concern. You can go days, even weeks without food. It'll hurt, wear you down, but it won't kill you immediately. Focus on water. Focus on shelter. Don't let hunger drive you to foolish decisions. Make sure you always carry enough provisions that weigh as little as possible, but can sustain you for long enough. Since these provisions can eventually run out, you should always be able to find new food. If you need to go hunting, fishing, or foraging for berries, mushrooms, and plants, you should be appropriately equipped. 5. Exhaustion. You think you can keep going. You tell yourself, 1 more mile, just a little further. But exhaustion doesn't care how strong you are. It creeps in slowly, quietly. It's the shadow that follows you, waits for you to slip, and then it hits you. Hard. Your legs feel like they're made of stone. Your eyes, they burn, but you can't sleep. Your body is screaming at you to stop, but you can't. Not yet. Not when there's still work to do. Exhaustion makes you sloppy. It steals your focus, your edge. You start missing things, important things. Maybe you forget to check your water source. Maybe you skip a step when building your shelter. And in survival, those mistakes, they don't just cost you time, they cost you your life. Here's the truth. You have to pace yourself, even when every instinct is telling you to push harder to get through just one more obstacle. Listen to your body. Rest when you can, because exhaustion, it's waiting for the moment you think you're untouchable. 6. Body temperature. Hypothermia or heat stroke, two extremes, both deadly. Your body temperature is something you absolutely must regulate, whether it's freezing cold or blistering hot. In the cold, hypothermia is your biggest enemy. It doesn't take long for the body to lose heat, especially if you're wet or exhausted. Build a fire, get dry, and layer up. In hot environments, on the other hand, you're battling heat stroke. Shade, water, and rest are your best friends. Stay out of the sun as much as possible and conserve energy. Don't underestimate the weather. It's one of the most dangerous things out there. Prepare for it, adapt to it, and never let your guard down. 7. Boredom and loneliness. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get mentioned enough: loneliness and morale. Humans are social animals. This fact cannot be shaken. Even the happy loner realizes this in a survival situation when they're completely isolated from others of their species, left to survive on their own. This is particularly critical for people who've spent a lot of time and long periods in society and relationships and suddenly find themselves completely alone. When you're alone, especially for an extended period, it starts to mess with your head. You begin to doubt yourself. This is a mental battle as much as a physical one. You need to keep your spirits up even when things seem hopeless. Focus on small victories, starting a fire, finding water, making shelter. Celebrate those moments no matter how small. Remember why you're fighting to survive. Whether it's for family, friends, or just the sheer will to live, hold on to that. Because once you lose hope, everything else will follow. Well, that wraps up our look at the 7 deadly enemies you might face in a survival situation. If you take a closer look at the individual points, you'll at least find a major commonality. Each point contains a negative factor that can render you powerless during a survival situation. This is precisely what you must prevent at all costs. You see it in the animal kingdom. To survive, the predator must hunt, the prey must flee, the squirrel must gather its nuts. At all times, everywhere, the ability to act must be ensured. So create a balance between tasks and rest so that you can overcome any difficult situation. Furthermore, always stay prepared and start now by putting together your survival equipment so that you're as well prepared as possible in the event of such a scenario. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. What's your biggest concern when it comes to surviving in the wild? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with fellow survival enthusiasts. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming video, where we'll dive deeper into essential survival skills, gear reviews, and expert tips to help you thrive in any situation.